we have a hard time, humans,
Yeah.
with decision making.
Yes.
And the core of that to me, and this is what I wanted to get to you, is if you don't understand your purpose, then decision making is nearly impossible.
Yeah.
Because you don't even know what your decisions are based on.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know what you're here for,
Yeah.
if you don't know why you're breathing, if
Yeah.
you don't know why God created you, right? Like, if you don't have an idea of that, then you have no idea whether or not the decisions that you're making align with that.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Letter to My Son. These are legacy conversations between a father and a son. I'm Ray Murray.
And I'm Julia Murray.
All right, let's get into it. Ju, I wanted to kind of let everybody know how this came about. And really, it started years ago, right? I had this idea. We always hear about people talking about generational wealth and the importance of leaving, in terms of financial literacy, leaving wealth for your children and your children's children, just generational wealth. And I was thinking about that, and I didn't want the sum of what I left behind for you to just be financial. I think that generational wealth is also wisdom that we leave. It's also wisdom that we've gained, and not just wisdom, because that people wisdom on both sides of the fence, right? Our successes and our failures. I believe that you learn more from your failures than you do a lot of times your successes, because you pay more attention. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I didn't want you to just get a number, and that's what I left you. I felt like, man, I want to give him something that will last beyond me, that will last beyond him, that you can give your children's children. You know what I'm saying? In terms of how I've seen life and the wisdom, and uh, you're my son, and we're in a blended family. So I have other sons as well, and a daughter, right? And so in addition to that, just the conversations that we've had and the things that have come up in our family, just overall, to just share that with the world. But initially I thought it was going to be a book. And I just never got around to starting it and writing it, you know what I mean? But I would write things in my iPad or my phone as ideas came, things that I wanted to share with you, to make sure that you knew, hey, look out for this. Keep doing this. I'm praying for you here. Look out for situations. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I would jot down things that I wanted to talk to you about. And then I ran into this guy named David Shands, who's an amazing podcaster, and he was talking about doing podcasts. And what caught my attention was he said that he had an amazing father, but had no recordings of his dad, like to share with his kids. And that hit me. And I thought, man, this is a great way to not only share wisdom and knowledge, but to also have it where my voice print is on it. You know what I'm saying? And so that became kind of the journey to Letter to My Son. And then we talked about it. You were like, yeah, Dad, let's do it, because we do this all the time. So it's literally just having conversations like we have all the time.
Literally.
Yeah.
And for me, it was important, and not only important, but it felt necessary to do it with you, because I feel like there's so much, like you said, cross-generational wisdom in our conversations. They're actual conversations. It's never just one-sided, you talking at me. There's always something learned, something gained on both sides, whether it's a perspective shift, whether it's new information, whether it's different information. There's always a collaboration and a synergy when we have conversations and when we dive into these topics. And I've personally shared some of my own revelation in our own conversations with my friends and family and people that I'm close to, and it's always transformative. It's always what somebody needs. Because I feel a lot of times we don't necessarily know how to have these conversations, or that we even can. And so it's always nice to share and let people know, like, hey, it's okay to talk about this. You actually should talk about this, because one day you're going to wish that you had.
We've had some tough conversations, right? It hasn't, it's like,
Yeah.
because I've had to be so open and so vulnerable with you just about, like I said, the successes, but more so the failures as a man, right? And
Yes.
just how to bounce back. And hopefully you've seen that in me. Like it's not just all roses. And I think sometimes parents, we don't want to be judged.
Wow.
So it's hard to be vulnerable because when you guys are teenagers, you already think we don't make any sense anyway. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Yeah.
feeling that, you don't want to open yourself up. But I think if you don't open yourself up, you're down to repeat. Um, you're going to repeat generational cycles, toxic generational cycles, if we don't share the wealth of what we've gained, even in sometimes the embarrassment of our mistakes, right?
Yeah.
You've been with me through divorce, through remarriage, all of it, and all of the successes and failures in between. And I just think that that's important for us to be honest and to talk about those things and share with each other. And I've sat at your feet before and like,
Yeah.
hey man, like, what do I need to do here? And I think that that's
Right.
the part too with parents. I think we have a healthy um, rapport with each other, right?
Yes.
Where
For sure.
there are moments when I recognize my son has more knowledge in this area, or he has an insight that I need. And I physically sat at your feet. You remember when I did that? Like, I was like, hey, Jude, like this social media thing, it's like, I'm not moving like I should, or I'm not, promoting like I should.
Yeah.
How do I move in this? And I literally sat at your feet and you just told me, listen, Dad, this is what it
Yeah.
is. Like, you know
Yep.
what I'm saying? Like, you got to figure this out, right?
Yeah.
And be okay with this because this is where the world is. And so being able to sit physically at your feet and learn from you, I think creates this respect where you also see me submitted
Yes.
and learning and
Yes.
people that I hold myself accountable to as well. So that's where this came from. And I wanted to have a bank of
Yeah.
these conversations um, so that we could not only help each other but
Yeah.
also help other people and prayerfully other parents who are having conversations with their children as well.
Right. For sure.
This mic is just really like there's an issue and I don't like this. Like, do you see me struggling with this?
Yeah. Is it falling?
I
What's
don't know
happening?
what it's doing. I don't like it though. Okay, I think I figured it out. Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
Um, like I said, we're gonna get vulnerable here. So if we got issues, we gonna
We gotta
we
move the
gonna fix
mic.
it
We
right
gotta.
here. Exactly. So yeah, so welcome everybody, and I'm excited about this. This is a long time coming. Just to give you all
Yeah.
full exposure, last year, in between all of this, while we were filming our first set of Letter to My Son, we decided to just scrap that and start all over because Julian moved. He moved to Texas, and I ain't seen him in about 3 months, and this is just
Uh.
crazy.
Yeah.
So
It's bananas.
we
It has
talk all
been
the time,
bananas.
but man, this is I think having this podcast and these conversations now mean even more because
Right.
I can't go down the hall and talk to
Right.
you like, you know what I mean. We have to be so intentional, and that's another thing, just being intentional about our conversations. And so I look forward to them even more now
Yeah.
because you are not even in the same state as me, and that's a whole nother episode.
Right.
Um,
We will
but,
definitely be getting into that soon.
oh, for sure, for sure, we
Yes,
we, we have to
it has been
because
a
all
ride.
of that has just been a journey.
Yeah, for
You know what I
sure.
mean?
Um,
But yeah, let's talk about this first episode. The clip that we showed at the beginning was
yes.
about a conversation that you and I had about purpose.
Yep.
And one of the things that I see people getting tripped up with, and you had the conversation about it as well. You and I had the conversation that there's a difference between purpose and expressions of your purpose.
Yes.
There is a danger if you think that an expression of your purpose is your purpose. Because
Yes.
if that's the case, once that expression ends, then
Yep.
purpose ends for you. And I never want you to think that because you are doing a particular thing, like right now, you're a videographer, a content creator, a
Yeah.
creative director, right? In what you do. But what if that ends? Does that
Right.
mean life ends? Does that mean your purpose ends? And sometimes we lock into an expression and don't realize, no, there's something greater. There is a purpose, big P, right?
Yep.
Capital P, that actually is greater than any of your expressions. And
Yeah.
I think for me, one of the greatest examples is Magic Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Magic Johnson was an incredible point guard and basketball player, one of the best, right?
Yeah.
Top 50 in the history of basketball. But
Yeah.
I honestly think he's an even better businessman.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like he's
Yeah.
won just as many championships, I think, at this point with different teams, and what he's done with the Washington Commanders recently and being a part of that ownership group,
Yeah.
what he did in Starbucks, what he did for the city of LA and people of color, and just the way that he's invested and how the
Absolutely.
Magic Johnson theaters and all that. Like
Yep.
Magic is arguably a better businessman than he was basketball player. What if he had
Yeah.
stopped at the
At
basketball
basketball.
expression?
Yeah.
And when that was taken from him, just, well, I guess life has ended. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so just understanding that there's a big purpose that is much larger than your expression. So don't stop at one expression. You may one day stop doing videography,
Right.
but God still has a call and a purpose for you that is greater than how you move in a particular role.
Yeah. And that for me, my question in that would be, how will God use talent, passion, hobbies to point you towards your purpose? And what I mean by that is, like you said, it's very easy to get caught up in an expression and feel like the expression or your passion or what you love to do is your purpose, is your identity. How does God use those things to point you in that direction? Because for somebody like me, I used to play basketball a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Um, I loved basketball. I was on teams. We was training Saturday
Oh
mornings, like
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the whole nine. Um, but basketball wasn't my purpose.
Yeah.
Um, but back then I didn't realize it, so much so that when I decided that I didn't want to play anymore, I was scared to tell you because I didn't know what that would do to our relationship.
Yeah.
Um, but I think being on a team taught me that at least a piece of my purpose is to connect people.
Yep.
And so how would you explain to someone who is stuck on an expression, like, hey, you're not wrong, but maybe God is trying to show you this?
Oh, that's good. So, like you were saying with basketball, right? The thing that came up for me when you were just saying that just now is, while basketball was not your purpose,
Mhm.
basketball had a purpose.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
basketball
yeah.
had a purpose for us because at the time that you were going to, like all your AAU and personal workouts and all that kind of stuff, I would be right there with you studying with my iPad,
Yeah.
heading towards getting my master's degrees, right?
Yep.
And so while you were working out, I was in the gym watching you and studying at the same time. But
Right.
it was those trips back and forth to your workouts early in the morning on Saturdays. It was the trips to taking you to basketball games and AAU with three games a day. It was ridiculous. And
Oh,
all of those, you know what I'm saying, where you would just consume my entire Saturday
yeah.
taking why can't y'all just play one game? Why you gotta play
No.
3 games? You know what I'm
And
saying? And all
yeah,
the practices and all that. And
so
I'm not
much.
complaining about it
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it
yeah.
had a purpose, is what I'm saying. And so
Yes.
I think sometimes people are so geared towards what's my purpose that you don't see the purpose in the steps toward whatever ultimately
Ooh.
you are
Yeah.
expressing, right? So it's not
Yeah.
a journey to purpose.
It's a
Your
journey
life is not
for.
a journey to purpose, it's a journey of purpose.
That's
Every
good.
step you take.
Yeah.
And so sometimes people don't take steps because they're like, I don't know if this is heading towards my purpose. And my response to that is, well, if you don't take any steps until you're sure on what your purpose is, you'll never get there because God can't order the steps you don't take.
Yeah.
You got to take some steps.
Yeah.
There's an effort on your part to understand that if I step this way, that's not a misstep.
Mhm.
There's purpose in that step.
Yes.
right? Because it's a journey of purpose, not a journey to purpose. So I'm not walking through life hoping to get to purpose. Every step I take is one of purpose. So basketball
Mhm.
had a serious purpose in our lives. So much so, Jude, do you remember when you stopped playing basketball and we moved to
Mhm.
LA? And
Yes.
you're like, Dad, we're not as close as we used to be. Like
Yeah.
something happened when we moved to LA. And we were
Yep.
trying, I was saying, well, no, Jude, like, I don't, it doesn't feel like that to me. Like, what are you feeling? You like, well, we just don't talk as much as we used to. I feel like we don't have as many conversations. And I sat with it for like 2 or 3 days. Like,
Yeah. You're like,
maybe he's
what?
right.
What
Like,
is it?
you remember that?
Yep.
And I
Yep.
said, what is it? And then it hit me, Jew, you got your own car. And you
Right.
kind of looked at me like, what? I'm like,
I was like, what's
Jew,
that got to do with anything?
all of our conversations were in the
Yeah.
car, on the way to practice, on the way to school. And so
Yeah.
all of that was taken away the moment you got your own car and was going everywhere you wanted to go and you stopped playing basketball. And so
Mm,
we just had to get more intentional about our conversations because
yes.
they weren't happening organically because you were with me all the time. But
Yeah.
that's how important those conversations were because it was in those basketball conversations on the way to basketball practice, on the way to training, that we figured out our relationship.
Yeah.
We had a rough go of it until basketball came in
Yeah.
and we had a commonality because I loved the game, you were playing the game, you loved the game, and that
Yeah.
started the bridge to healing our
Yeah.
relationship. So while that wasn't your capital P purpose, it
Yeah.
had a purpose.
Yep.
Right? So don't get hung up on expressions of what that means because the other thing that you found out, I mean, you should talk about some of the things, think about some of the things that you found out about yourself playing basketball.
Yeah. I definitely I would if I could boil it down to some bullet points, I found out that I love to be around people. I love to be around people, and so much so that the thought of not playing basketball hurt because I'm like, "Dang, I don't get to hang out with my friends."
I remember that.
Um,
Yep.
and that was one of my biggest, like, biggest hesitations. Like, I have all these people, all these connections because of this thing. If I stop doing this thing, do they all go with it?
Oh, yeah.
And so that was one of the things that made me really hesitant and scared to stop and to I I almost I almost missed out on videography and photography because if you remember that next year after I decided not to play basketball is when I picked up a camera, my junior year of high
Yes.
school.
Yeah.
And so if I had still been playing and I would still go to the games, but now I'm taking pictures of my friends on the, you know what I mean? So it just shifted. And this is so funny that we talked about it literally last night. You made fun of me because I was trying to preach a sermon about it. But when when I was talking about you don't have to put it down, you just have to change the way you're carrying it.
Mm, yes.
And so for me, what I've personally learned in these last couple years, and even with this basketball situation, it's not that everything is usable.
Absolutely.
Everything is usable. I just had to figure out where and how to carry things the right way.
Yes. Yep.
Um, and in that, my question for you is like, where, because life comes at you fast.
It does. Yeah. Yeah.
Life comes at you fast. Realizations hit you out of every which possible way. Um, and number one, when you say purpose, and correct me if I'm wrong, what's coming up for me is purpose isn't the goal.
Say more.
So when we say I'm on a journey to purpose, I'm on a journey to purpose instead of a journey of purpose,
Yeah.
it makes it feel like the journey, purpose is the goal of the journey
Yes.
instead of God is the purpose.
Okay. I
You
see
know
where
what
you're
I
going.
mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
we're chasing purpose instead of chasing God and allowing him to use our purpose to go towards him.
Yeah. Yeah. It is our purpose is actually our thank you to God.
Yes.
Right? It is when you said that, that's what it kind of triggered a thought for me. And that is when you actually are talking about purpose, what are you
Mhm.
talking about? You're saying, God, what is it that you have placed inside of me that is your gift to the world?
Yes.
There's something that you've given me that is your gift to the world,
Yes.
right? And the moment, and as I express that, I'm saying thank you for this gift um, that you have given me to then give the world. So each
Mm.
of us is a gift to the world. Like a lot of times, it used to be back in the day. There was this phrase when I was growing up. He think he God's gift to women, or she thinks she God's gift to men, or God. You know what I'm saying? But the reality is, each and every one of us is God saying, "Y'all need this to the
Yeah.
world." Through
Mhm.
Julian is my gift, my I love you to the world.
Wow.
And so your job is, Lord, let me go on this journey of discovery to figure out what you have given me to steward, to grow, and then express to the world. Does that make sense? Like I figured it out. Like I've had a lot of different roles, but as a father, as a husband, as a teacher, leader, motivational speaker, relationship coach,
Yeah.
pastor, all of it, my gift has always been the same. I help people see differently.
Mm.
And in every space, that's what
Yeah.
I've done. That's my purpose, to inspire people, to encourage them, them them to see their circumstances in a different way. And
Yeah.
whether I've been in corporations, in sales, no matter what I've done, it's always been a leadership capacity. When I
Yeah.
was playing basketball, I was a point guard. When I was a swimmer, I was an anchor. When I was working in corporate America, I was leading groups. You know what I'm saying? So it's like no
Yeah.
matter where I was always shepherding. I was always
Mm.
pastoring. I was so
Yeah.
that's my capital P purpose, is bringing people together to lead on behalf of God. And wherever
Mm.
I go, that's always been the case. And I've always wanted to fit in and never could, because I was called to hide. It would always be, I would always be called to the front. When I got in trouble, I would get called to the front. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Yep.
even when I was in school, like I used to get horrible grades in citizenship. Now here's the thing. Why are you laughing? This mic is giving me fits.
Because I did
I
too.
got
It be
horrible grades in citizenship, but here's the thing. When I
talks
was in
too
the
much.
second grade, my teacher said, "He's a problem because he's a ringleader."
Mm.
You'll get clues everywhere. He's a
Wow.
ringleader. And my parents will be like, "What does this mean? Like, what is this?" And the teacher on, parent teacher night told them, "No, he doesn't start it. He doesn't start the joking around in class, but all his classmates are trying to get a reaction out of him.
Wow.
So he's the centerpiece of the reason why they acting up, because they want to make him laugh. He's not starting it. He's telling the truth, but he's the
Wow.
ringleader. He's the
Wow.
focus. And so you'll always get clues on your
Mhm.
capital P purpose.
Yes.
Like for you, when you were a kid, you even now, you can build anything. I was horrible. I couldn't build nothing. I loved IKEA furniture. That was the great frustration
Yeah.
of my life. I loved
Yeah.
IKEA furniture, but I couldn't put it together. And when you were
Right.
9 years old, you replaced me as the Bob the
The
Builder of the house.
the resident builder.
The
Yep.
resident builder. You built everything. I put a
Yeah.
bookcase together backwards. That's when I knew I was done. I'm
Yeah,
done.
it was sad to see.
But
Truly.
I watched you figure it out at 9 years old, putting the case together that I couldn't. And
Yeah.
that's when I realized, oh, this is natural for him.
Yeah.
Building is natural for him. And everywhere you've gone, trace it back, Jew. You've
Yeah.
been a builder.
Yep.
You build
Every
relationships.
yep.
You build, you know what I mean?
Yeah, every and it's funny that you say that because I was literally just thinking about that the other day and honestly feeling frustrated.
Mm.
Like I said out loud, I'm tired of being given projects. And
Ugh.
I had to run it back and I had to trace it back and I had to think like, okay, why are you always given projects? Well, because you know how to put things together. But every situation I've ever been in, and this is so crazy. This is wow.
Mm.
The part about the projects and being given projects that frustrates me the most is at some point the project is over
Mm.
and then it's and so the last when did I move? October, and I have felt uncomfortably bored
Mm.
because leaving LA was my project ending because I built a lot.
Yeah.
I built a lot. And so what does it look like and how do you anchor yourself in an identity that is not wrapped up in what you do?
Yeah. Boy, you took me out, bruh. I'm about to I wasn't expecting that.
Me neither, for the record. That's not on my
That
paper.
got deep quick. I'm glad you said that because every purpose comes with its own set of frustrations. And people don't realize like, yeah, man, this is dope that I got to purpose, but you don't realize it comes with its own frustrations.
Yeah.
The fact that you are a builder means that every project comes to an end.
Yeah.
And so part of the frustration of your purpose is that it requires moving on after you're done. And I think right here in this moment, I just want to tell you how proud I am of you and that project of moving to Texas. But to know that just like every other builder, man, and just like every other builder, God has not sent you to a project, but multiple projects.
Yeah.
And so you have to get used to starting over
Mhm.
because you will do that many times in your life. When one development is done,
Yeah.
God will move you to the next. Um, but you will also have to find in your heart the moments when certain projects are forever
Mhm.
because it means that naturally you are a person that once you get to a certain height or level, you're done with it.
Mhm.
But what does that mean for relationships?
Yeah.
So now I have to be disciplined because it comes with my own, what makes me great can also be my downfall.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who are builders, and once a project is done, they move on, but they have also created relationships that way
Yeah.
and been reckless with people because they move on so often. Because once the emotional part of it is over, they're bored and they're done and they're moving on. So there is a dark side to purpose that we have to address, which is you got to know, number one, what you're called to. If you know that you're a builder and you're a person that that takes on projects and builds, number one, it means that you move on. Number two, it means that you're able to see things before other people do. Because if you're a builder, you got to get inspired about it before the foundation is created.
Yes. And
it's already done
those,
in your mind before you start building the foundation. So you're going to look crazy to a lot of people. Purpose comes with its own frustrations and its own requirements. So
yeah,
just knowing that, you got to know when, okay, I moved here. That was one project. Now, what's the next project is to make Texas home.
yeah,
Right? And not to get caught up again in one expression of your purpose.
yeah,
But you will continue to build. And then the other part is you got to be with somebody when it comes to relationships. If you ever decide to whether you're dating or you decide to get married, you got to get married to somebody that understands and is compatible with your purpose as a builder, which means they're not freaking out when you move from one project to the next, or you get excited about something they can't see. Right?
yeah.
Because let's look at Noah in the Bible. He built the ark, and it was only 8 people that was feeling the
That
moment.
was
Everybody else thought he was crazy.
imagine that.
But I'm saying, so
Yeah.
part of your purpose comes with its own frustrations, and one of those frustrations is everybody ain't gonna see it.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to continue to build even though people don't see it. That's the frustration, because you want part of wanting to be a part of being a builder is I want everybody to enjoy what God is about to do with this. But the problem is everybody ain't gonna see it, and they're gonna think you crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. What
Ooh, that hit me.
I wanna circle back to what you said, the dark side of purpose, and draw another comparison, because I've heard somebody say this before, specifically about David. And how his same level and intensity, and his need for intimacy with God was the same that caused him to do what he did with Bathsheba.
Boy, that was me.
That was you?
Yeah, that was me.
That was you?
Messages. Yeah.
Nah, sometimes, you be saying a lot of stuff.
Somebody say, boy,
you be saying a lot of stuff. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes I'm
do.
like, that sounds like something, but like it could also be.
Yeah, I was basically saying there's a dark side to the heart that we've been given, right? There's always a flip side. There's a flip side to favor. There's a flip side to purpose. There's a flip side to how we were born and what God has placed inside of us. God made David a worshiper, which means he loved intimacy.
Yeah.
That's what made David great in the sight of God. He was a man after God's own heart. He loved intimacy. He loved, closeness with God. But the problem with David was he loved intimacy. And so that when your gift is misplaced, when your purpose, when you got your gift, but you're in the wrong location, it can be misused and abused. So David, that need for intimacy, right? His need for intimacy and moments of laziness caused him to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. So when he was supposed to be out at war, he was chilling at home. That's a message. Because a lot of times, wherever you go is where your purpose and gift go. But if you bring yourself to the wrong location, you are bringing your purpose and gift to the wrong location, and it's still going to be expressed. It's still going to be expressed. So he still had, hold on with me. He still had intimacy to express, but that intimacy was supposed to be expressed at war. In the seasons when King goes to war, his war was his thank you to God for God placing him as king. So when you misplace your purpose and you still got some intimacy to express, but what you see is Bathsheba instead of God, you still gonna express it. That's how he got into trouble, because he I got all of this purpose inside of me that I need to express. And on that day, he was focused on the wrong thing. Doc, this is just episode 1, but feel me on this. That's why I'm telling you, as a father, I care about your location. I don't just care about the fact that you've recognized the fact that you're a builder. I don't want you building on the wrong site, because you will build.
Yeah.
but you'll build on the wrong foundation.
You over here supposed to be building a Ritz-Carlton, you building a Motel 6.
God called you to build in Texas right now.
Yeah.
So if I had been selfish and said,
Mm,
stay here, you would have
yep.
been out of order. Your purpose would have still been functioning in the wrong location.
Ooh-wee.
You see what I'm saying? So you have to not only, God, am I available to be led by you in this journey of purpose,
Yeah.
but also order my steps so that I'm in the
Yeah.
right place at the
At the
right
right
time.
time.
Because if I'm in the wrong place, I'm still going to express my purpose with the wrong people. So it's not just about being led by God in the sense, or just understanding your purpose, I should say, but it is
Yeah.
also being led by God. And that's an everyday process. That's an everyday thing. And if you don't get anything else from me, Jew, just know that what I figured out in the last year is I
Yeah.
can do absolutely nothing without God.
Yeah.
Like I can't, the father I want to be, the husband I want to be, the teacher, leader that I want to be, I can't do it without God. So I'm communicating with him every day before I text anybody, before I say anything, before I move, before I decide. And I didn't used to do that,
Yeah.
but still called myself a follower of Christ.
Right.
But I wasn't following in everything. I wasn't
Yeah.
acknowledging him in all my ways. I was acknowledging him in most of them, which is where I would drift. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So God, not only do I want to discover my purpose, I also want to know my placement, not just purpose, but
Purpose
placement.
and placement.
Where do you want me to express this? You know
Did
what
you
I'm
see
saying?
that? Y'all, I'm using my phone as a camera, so y'all know the new iOS update. They got a whole bunch of little screen things. So if you
That is
see
so
a
funny.
balloon, I could,
Oh, that is wild.
or maybe we want some fireworks. You gonna play with me right now? Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So
That's
don't mind me. Don't mind me. That was not on purpose.
I love
But
this.
man, this conversation took a turn.
Brother, you took
This
me out with the frustration because I felt you. I feel what that's like because for me, I'm called to people, but people can be tough.
and
People
it's
cannot appreciate you. People can, you know what I'm saying? So there is a
yeah,
frustration that goes along with every purpose and a requirement of us that goes along with every purpose. And my biggest thing is don't get caught up in an expression, but know your capital P purpose. Number one
yeah,
is to give God glory, which means my
yeah,
life is a thank you to him.
yeah,
But then number two, it is what is my large, like my top three things. Mine
yeah,
is authenticity, freedom, and wisdom. Everywhere I go, no matter what space I'm in, I want people to feel free or to be freed. I want people to feel the authenticity and the wisdom that I share. I want to inspire people. So it doesn't matter what my role is as a father, as a husband, as a pastor, whether I'm working in corporate America or entrepreneurship.
yeah,
I want people to be impacted that way. And that's what God has given me. So I think the goal is number one, to see your life as a journey of purpose and not a journey to purpose.
yeah,
But then number two, not to get stuck in an expression of your purpose and forget that there may be many expressions in your life
yeah,
so that you don't think that once one expression is over, your purpose is over.
yes,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Your job is not necessarily your purpose, but it is an expression of your purpose. But if you get
yeah,
fired, you still got purpose. Jew, if
right,
you never pick up another camera, you still have purpose. You're a builder.
yeah,
If you never work with young teens anymore, you're still a builder. God is just ready to move you forward to a different expression, but your
yeah.
purpose does not end until you stop drawing breath. That's the Game of Thrones. But you know
For
what I
as
mean?
long as men
Until,
draw breath.
until your
Yeah,
last day, there's still
yeah,
purpose. You
yep,
know, and man, this was good to me today, bro. You
man.
you threw me with that because I felt your heart, and I think That's what's so powerful about these conversations, is because they are genuine conversations, because these aren't scripted. We don't know
Yeah.
what's going to happen. I did not expect that, but
Yeah.
I'm thankful it happened, because it'll show parents that the vulnerability in conversations and being honest will also create ways for you to be even closer to your child or your parent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so to not be afraid of that, and to
Yeah.
be courageous in these conversations.
Absolutely. Oof. Man, that was because and just to encourage someone who is feeling the way I'm feeling, who is feeling the way everybody is feeling. Um, I've learned that when you are walking in line with your purpose, there is a grace
Hmm.
and there is an unexplainable um energy to push forward. And we know it's the Holy Spirit, it is God allowing you to operate in that function. Which is the last kind of thing I wanted to get into quickly before we get out of here, is just how important it is to be locked into your identity. Because when you see other people moving in their purpose and moving in their function, it's easy to want to do that. And it's easy to want to emulate, and it's easy to want to simulate, and it's easy to want to copy. Even if we are called to a similar thing, you might not have the grace to do it in the capacity that I do it. Everybody doesn't have the capacity to love people the way I love people.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody doesn't have the capacity to build the way I build. Everybody doesn't have the capacity to pastor the way you pastor, to speak the way you speak.
Yeah.
I have seen you change lives with no preparation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's not, and we've talked about it before, because we make it look easy and because people make it look easy,
Yeah.
we think we can do it. Me personally, until I step on the basketball court, you can't tell me I can't dribble like Kyrie.
Right.
Again,
Right.
when I'm watching drum videos, I'm like, it can't be that hard. And then I sit on the drums and I'm like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if you could just speak quickly about how number one important it is to truly be locked into your identity in Christ when it comes
Yeah.
to your expression, and not worrying about what this person next to you is doing, what this person on the side of you is doing, because it's 2024, it's 2025, it's a little hard. Social
Yeah.
media, man, will
Yeah.
have me thinking, because even I get stuck in it sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm looking at other 22-year-olds and I'm like, dang, y'all 22 look a little different than my 22.
Yeah.
Y'all in penthouses and my apartment is nice, but just being content.
Man, that's so huge. And that's almost a whole nother episode. But I think that this is what came up for me. And this is not me being sacrilegious or somehow, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way. But John 3:16 says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his son, his only son," right?
Yeah.
That whosoever believes on him should not perish but have everlasting life. We know that scripture. But what if you processed it in another way? Because we also know from scripture when he told Jeremiah, "Before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you.
Mm-hmm.
I knew the plan that I had for you."
Yeah.
So we've all been sent.
Mm-hmm.
So what if we processed our life like, for God so loved the world that he
He
gave some
said,
more of his sons.
ew.
And when you decide that somebody else's purpose is the one you should have, you miss out on one of God's expressions in the earth. You have
Mm.
decided that what God decided about you before you were formed in your mother's womb is not enough. And when I got a hold of that, because we talking about legacy and father to son. It's like I thought I had to be my dad, and then decided that's not happening. That's a great man. I can't be him. I don't move like him. And so I was like, well, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
And God was like, be you.
Ooh.
Right? Because what happens is my father was also a leader. He was also a pastor. And because I decided I couldn't be what he was, I decided I didn't want to lead either. Right? And so then the negative self-talk and the enemy starts playing with your head so that you run away from the thing that God has called you to because it's too much like the one before you. It's too much like your father. So I don't want to deal with that. I want to chart out my own course. That ain't up to you. Because your heavenly father is the one that charted that out. And you're running because you're comparing. But if you stop comparing and realize that my purpose is essential because it is God's I love you to the world through me, then the more I drill down into my uniqueness, I'm irreplaceable. But when I start to borrow other people's purpose, I become a copy, and one of us is irrelevant. If you got a copy, I'd rather have the original. Which means whoever I'm trying to be is going to be more preferred because I'm trying to rob them and borrow from their purpose. Just be you and be comfortable in that, and be comfortable with the journey required to be you. You might be in an apartment and they're in a penthouse and y'all are the same age, but you don't know at which point, and it may be that y'all switch positions. Right? You don't know how long a person's journey up is. And you may not be up there with them. It may be God's understanding that you are a 2-talent person and not a 5-talent, or you're a 1 and not a 2. But that doesn't mean you bury it just because you got 1 and somebody else has 2. No, you make that thing work and get a return on the investment of God going through all he went through to get you here.
Ooh.
It is not your job to judge your purpose. It is your job to express it. It is your job to live in it, not judge it based on what somebody else is doing. Because God knows what you can handle. And what he gave you is what you can handle. And you never put a number on that because operating in purpose is priceless.
And on that note, wow.
So Jew, don't ever compare. And I know it's hard not to because that's what social media reminds you of, what you're not every day, to draw you in. Right? That's what it's for, to draw you in. But even as you're looking at that, you know what I would say, Jew? I would say, as you're seeing other people kill it, whether it's social media or not, instead of comparing yourself, instead of one C word, how about another C word? Don't compare, celebrate.
Yeah.
And the more you celebrate what God is doing for that person, the more freedom you give yourself. Man, I can't wait to get there. I can't wait to see what God is doing on this journey of purpose in my life. Now, I see, because you don't know what they've been through. You don't know their whole story.
Right.
You don't know what it took. And for some people, they were willing to do whatever it took. So they're in spaces that you would love to be in, but they don't have a soul. Well, they have a soul, but they're completely cut off from it. Or they're not happy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They have no joy.
Yeah.
Right? There was so much that had to be sacrificed, that every step they took, a piece of their soul was taken away, a piece of their heart was taken away. And that's sad. But you're never gonna know that.
Right.
Because you're not close enough to know the truth. And that doesn't mean that everybody that's successful is in that space. That's not what I'm saying. But the Bible says there's a such thing as good success. If that's the case, then there's also bad success. Does that make sense? And I want you to have good success. And good success does not include comparison. Good success includes expressing my thank you to God for what he has placed inside of me, without looking at somebody else and then putting a value on mine and judging that it's not enough. You are absolutely enough. You're enough to do what God sent you to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This has been good, man.
It's been great. Capital G.
Yeah. Y'all hang out with us. Stay with us. Like, share. wherever this lands.
Repost.
Comment, repost, all of the things.
All of
right?
the things, please.
As great
Follow
as
us.
this podcast was, follow too, right? Letter to My Son on Instagram.
Podcast, yep.
And that YouTube channel.
Letter to My Son. Letter to My Son podcast on everything.
Yeah.
Letter to My Son podcast. We'll make sure we put it right here so you guys can see it. Click the link.
And this was incredible, man. And thank you for being an amazing son, thoughtful, honest. I feel like this is going to be a great journey for us. And this was a great episode to start.
Yeah.
So if you are looking for your purpose or your journey and discovering of purpose, look at the big words in your life. Mm-hmm. Are you a bridge? Are you a helper? Are you somebody that comes in afterwards? After the building, you can carry it on. Like, are you somebody that carries on? Are you a team builder? Do you inspire people? What are the big words? Yeah. Do you love to see people free? What is the gift that you give to the world? People have told you. You probably just haven't been paying attention. Yeah. But talk to your parents. Talk to people who are close to you and ask them, when I show up, how do I impact you? And you'll get all your words and you'll feel them. There are certain things that you feel. Yeah. Right? Like, I love inspiring people. Or I love being there for people. Or I love leading people and I do it for free. You ain't got to pay me to do that. You know, there are certain keys to finding that capital P purpose. And above all else, it's just to say thank you to God, to give him glory for what he's placed inside of you as his I love you to the world. Yeah. All right, y'all. Jew, this was good. I can't wait to sit down and talk again. But man, what a great start.
It was amazing. Thank you. And thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you on the next one.
All right, y'all.